a new Microsoft concept or idea or technology or vision, which is called rights management. And rights management, as the name suggests, is the aim being to be able to manage and control and protect people's rights. Which people are we talking about specifically? The rights of those who create something. So content creators. You've heard what's happened with the debacle with music industry and having to try and protect the music so that they can be sold over the internet, not copied from one CD to another and copied from one MP3 player to another. The same issues, debates are taking place with video, so that videos you don't have to go to, your average rental store. You can just watch. You can literally rent them by downloading them off the internet. But what's stopping us from just keeping them on our hard drives? So it's basically rights management is a huge topic. It's not just Microsoft. It's a huge industry topic about we've got content. If there's content, there must therefore be a content creating person or company. They've got rights, they own the content. How do we make sure that content can reach the people the content provider wants to reach while making sure that they've got the ability to manage their rights, in other words, manage the content and control it? You can have my content, but you can only play it once. You can have my content, but only for 3 weeks. You can have my content forever and play it as many times as you like, but only on that machine. If you move to another PC, you can't play that same DVD. All right, that's content. Everything that we've looked at and we've heard of on the internet and all these discussions that are taking place seem to stem around media, so video and music and stuff like that. What about documents? I mean, there's a lot of time and effort goes into creation of document, whether it's white papers or whether it's books, which is the big topic. You want to buy a book today, you've got to go on Amazon and buy it, or any other large online retailer. But maybe we could get books where all the content creation process and thought has already gone into it and turn it into a format that we can easily send out to people online. The problem is, how do rights owners control that? I buy the book, but then I share it with lots of other people by copying the file. So, don't want to delve too deep into it because they're all different topics, but Microsoft have got something called Windows Rights Management, WRM, for Office 2007. WRM for Office 2007. Windows Rights Management. And because it's Windows Rights Management for Office 2007, you can pretty much preclude from that and exclude from that things like music and video. Okay? If you're working with music and video, you want to talk about digital rights management for non-Microsoft Office 2007, because Office 2007 produces PowerPoints and Excel spreadsheets and Word documents. So this is specific to this area. Different technologies get used for different types of content. Effectively, what Microsoft's vision is this, and has been since 2003, in fact. Office 2003 did have a little bit of Windows Rights Management. It didn't work very well. In Office 2007, they've improved it somewhat. What Microsoft's aim is this. If you write a Word document, and you want to be able to take that Word document and send it to one recipient or multiple recipients in whatever form you want. It doesn't have to be email. It could be CD, USB stick. It could be a hard drive. It could be anything, or a DVD. How can you control all the aspects, like how many times they can open it? Can they print it? Can they fax it? Can they re-email it? Can they forward it? Should they even have it on their machine after 3 weeks and 15 hours? So really tight control. And they've actually feel that they've done it. It's not the format of the file, and this is the most important thing about it. It's not the format of the file that counts. Don't for 1 minute think that what Microsoft is aiming to do is force us all to output our document as a PDF or an XPS file. And if you don't know what that is, you want to watch the session on those two topics. They don't want us to output it into a particular format and then have everyone share it with that format. That's not the trick. Microsoft actually wants you to keep it in its native form. A Word document stays as a Word document. Excel stays as Excel, and PowerPoint stays as PowerPoint. But you do something to it that makes sure that you can control it. And that whole topic of managing Windows Rights Management, in this particular case, we've got a message open at the moment. If you look at the top right in Outlook, you've got an option up here. If I pull this little button down, and you'll see that you can set permissions on this item. There are no restrictions at the moment, but I can choose to set an obvious one called Do Not Forward. So the person I'm going to send this message to is not allowed, physically not able to forward this to anybody else. Make sense? That's just one example. And there are lots of others. There are, as I said to you, you can't even edit copy. You know when you highlight things on the screen and quickly copy and paste it into another application? You can disable edit, copy and paste. You can disable print. The thing that Microsoft claims that you can't do, that they can't protect the document from, is somebody physically sitting down and copying by writing down the contents. I mean, it's not as if they really needed to mention that. And the other one is they can't protect the document from having this done to it, which is somebody taking a monitor and putting it into a photocopy and taking a photocopy of it. Yeah. They shouldn't have really drawn taken that picture, because that's giving some really good ideas. If you take a flat screen, maybe if you lower the light on it may work.
Given how easy it is to have a digital camera nowadays, it would be much
I
simpler.
would agree. It would worry me more if this picture was taken recently, right, with digital cameras, or just a mobile phone, click. But yeah, Microsoft obviously want to take the larger route to it.
So does it protect you from things like print screen as well? And
absolutely right. That's a good one. Alt print screen, taking a snapshot of the desktop, doesn't take an alt print screen in that document.
Really?
Doesn't take it. No.
Interesting.
However, if you download a tool that takes snapshots of the screen, but is not a part of the OS. Do you understand that? Alt print screen is part of the OS, so Microsoft's got the ability to disable it.
Yeah.
If you go and download a tool that just sits on the taskbar, and when you go Control Shift and P, it goes clink clink sound and takes a picture.
Yeah, so
and a really pathetic tool like that, it will.
So something like screen capture.
Yeah. It will do it. It will take a picture. Yeah. So they're beating the drum about alt print screen quite heavily. It's on all their bullet point list, but then they say, by the way, any third-party software that takes screen grabs can't be protected.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the dilemma they've got clearly, and without getting too, and those of you watching on SmartLearn, this might not be appropriate for you, but the problem they've got is that effectively Windows fundamentally has an API all open for you to be able to interact directly with the video, the video screen, and do things like the fact that I've been zooming in and out with a third-party tool, but that you want to allow that availability, but yet also lock it down. You've got to have one or the other. So, yeah, so you may be wondering why I'm not actually showing this to you. Well, the setting up of it is really beyond the scope of this little session, but I'll quickly highlight the two ways that it can be done. For this to work, can you see that there must be something beyond me producing a document and securing it and sending it to somebody and saying, well, it's protected. I've got to have some way of knowing who that person is, and them knowing who it's coming from, and me knowing that that person is who they say they are, and all that kind of nonsense. Does that make sense? There's got to be some way of me encrypting the document in a way that prevents them from doing something to it, and then them being able to get an appropriate key that lets them do the bits that I want them to do. Do you follow? So when you're talking about this kind of rights management, you must understand that the layer we're used to talking about is the actual document. Here's the tool he's using, here's the document he produced, and here's the email system he's going to use to send it. Above that layer is a sort of a hidden layer of, well, how do I make sure I encrypt it in a way and say, you can't do anything except this, and when that document arrives in this weird encrypted form, that they've got the tools to be able to open it and the key. Imagine if he's only allowed to open it for 3 days. Well, where is the key, the license that he gets to open it, and that license should therefore die after 3 days? Does that make sense? And it's that establishing that layer that is beyond this session. There's two ways to do it, which is establish a whole rights management server in your company, so that Department A, Finance Department, can send financial reports to another department and can say you can't copy, paste, and you can't modify, and you can't do this, and the financial documents must be must explode, not explode physically, but must expire after 3 days. And that way the recipient can also contact the company's rights management server and download the key that they should appropriately use. So you can set up internal rights management servers, but when you're a company that's selling books online, we're not part of the same company. So what you can do is you can subscribe to, and here comes the money part, you can subscribe to the Microsoft hosted rights management license server. Does that make sense? So I, as a publisher, buy and rent or license a license key as a publisher license key, and then I allow all my recipients to go to the same license server and download the recipient's key. Okay? And you'll see that right here on my screen, not into that depth, but if you see that I go and say, I want to I don't want to allow anyone to be able to forward this message, suddenly it says, information rights management in Microsoft Outlook helps prevent sensitive documents and email messages from being forwarded and edited. To use IRM, you need to install the Windows Right Management Client software on this machine, which is something your recipients will also have to install. It's free of charge to install, but then comes the bit of how do you communicate the rights and the keys, which is where you subscribe to the license servers.